Good morning. Welcome to Full Circle Ozarks.
Hello everyone. I've got my friend Brock here from Rock Hill Farms. Welcome, Brock.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're going to do a little bit of collaboration today. We're going to spend some time reviewing the Kioti tractor. It's a CK2610. So we're going to do a few things with it, and so we just wanted to give you a kind of paint you a picture of what it's going to look like here in just a little bit when we start using that. So I look forward to you coming along with us and watching us make some decent videos about this little tractor.
Yeah, I've got a John Deere, and we'll see about these orange ones. I don't know yet.
Yeah, one of the selling points for me, and of course we'll get into the actual details a little bit later, but one of the selling points for this Kioti tractor, it's a CK2610, was the lift capacity. And when we start showing you this gravel that we have attached, I think you're going to be impressed. So we'll see.
Brock spent quite a bit of time getting used to the tractor itself, and then the grapple also was a little bit different than what Brock had used before. However, as you can see, the tractor was easily able to handle the logs that Brock was picking up. He did note, however, that the rear of the tractor got light a couple of times, so he quickly released a couple of the logs. Also, you'll notice on the back of the tractor, I have added a small log on the top of my box blade to give some more weight. This is a temporary measure till I can get the tires filled with rim guard again. Here's where Brock was trying various different techniques to pick up different logs. understanding the geometry of the gravel. So he tried a couple of different ways, and as he was getting used to the gravel itself, overall I think Brock done an outstanding job. So kudos to Brock as he was learning this equipment that was a little bit new to him. He's an old hand at tractors, but sometimes each piece of equipment can be a small learning curve to the equipment itself. So that particular grapple here is a little bit different than some of the others out there on the market. But again, Brock mastered it in no time and was able to pick up the logs the way he wanted to do. Here you can see that Brock is testing the tractor's ability to move a bunch of weight, particularly those logs. Again, this is a 25 horsepower tractor, and as most people that works with tractors and this type of equipment would agree that it's not so much the size of the engine sometimes as it is the weight of the tractor and its ability to move a large load. If you'll notice this little Kioti CK2610, as Brock was pushing these logs, it had no trouble spinning the tires, and even with a 25 horsepower engine. So it's a very capable little tractor.
All right, so I'm going to give some of my thoughts on the operator station, then I'll get with Larry and give kind of his overall view of someone who's put 400 hours on this instead of 30 minutes. But I like the two pedal system. I've always said that. I'm not, from an ergonomic standpoint, I'm not crazy about having the brake on the same side as your forward and reverse pedals. I like that better on the other side. And I'm not crazy about the fact that you kind of need 2 feet to set the emergency brake. Those are kind of minor concerns, really. A lot of the ergonomic stuff isn't as much of the deciding factor to me as how much work you can get done. But it operated smoothly, joystick placement's comfortable. The 2-button system, which is what I would term a true third function rather than a diverter, very convenient location. It's much simpler and easier to operate the grapple than it is on mine. Nice roomy operator station, very convenient, getting on and off. It's got a nice step. Comfortable to operate. It feels like when I let off the pedal, and I think it's a difference about my tractor, because this is about the 3rd time I've ran another tractor and said this, but when I let off this pedal, the machine wants to keep going a lot more than mine. Mine's very abrupt. Like when you let off that pedal, it stops like immediately. So that amount of coast might be a preference thing, but I'm seeing this, the way this one is being more common. But yeah, everything else about operating this is pretty well laid out. All right, so I'm gonna finish my thoughts on the tractor and then we'll get all of Larry's. So I always compare to mine as a point of reference because my tractor list weight is like 2,500 pounds. The way I have it configured, it's like 5,500 pounds with wheel weights, the cab, fluid in the tires, 3-point attachments, backhoe subframe. I have it weighed down, so it's a heavy tractor, but it's significantly smaller than this. The rear tires are much smaller. The frame is just overall smaller. Now this is 25 horsepower, whereas mine's 38. But it doesn't feel that way when you run it. When I was pushing those logs with your weight and your horsepower, it pushed them just fine. The lift capacity is higher than mine, even though I have a lot more horsepower. Do you happen to know your hydraulic flow rate?
I don't recall what it is, but I think we got it written down there somewhere.
I'll check.
It's one of the highest amongst the different brands that I looked at.
11.7 gallons per minute hydraulic flow. Sometimes that's confusing because part of that goes to steering and part of it goes to your implement, but it has more hydraulic flow than my tractor, and I'm guessing it was cheaper. Do you know what the price of just the tractor is on this?
I don't know what the current price is. It was when I bought this one, I bought it in a package deal with and I got a really good deal on it during COVID. I'll just say it that way.
So mine was like $26,000 2.5 years ago, and now it's listed at like $33,000 for just the tractor. The jobs I would do every day, the majority of them, this tractor is going to do them at least as well for a lot less money. There are little things I like better about mine, but I'm impressed with this. I've ran a few 25 horsepower tractors, and to me, this is the most capable of those. So, what are your thoughts about why you bought the Kioti, and now 400 hours later, would you do it again, and just overall review on it?
I definitely would do it again. The primary reason I bought this one, amongst the other brands that I looked at, cost was a factor, but the lift capacity on the front end was important. I like the idea that I could go with a 25 horse engine, and it would be non-emissions. That was important to me. It wouldn't be a deal maker if I had to do a regen, but that was the primary reason. The only thing that I probably would add to this tractor if I was going to do it again would be some rear remotes. This one tractor doesn't have them, and I may add them eventually. But that's probably about the only thing that I would add.
And so this has a 1,800 pound listed lift capacity. Mine, when I bought it, was much lower. I don't remember, 1,300 something. But I switched to the mechanical self-leveling loader. I can get 1,700 to 1,800 pounds an inch off the ground, depending on how far out it's extended. But the lift capacity on a lot of the other manufacturers is better, and Kioti is one of the higher ones. One thing I would do if this was my tractor, and we'll tell that story real quick, but I would definitely get some more weight on it. It felt, whenever I picked those logs up, it lifted the back quicker than mine would have. And he's got a box blade on the back, which isn't the heaviest of 3-point attachments.
Yeah.
And he had fluid in the tires, but then he had a tire puncture and they now don't have fluid in them.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the wheel weights. So for my purposes, I'd probably add a little bit of weight, but there's always a trade-off with adding weight because you're sinking and making more tracks in this muddy ground, and every type of way to add weight costs money, which is why he's got a big log strapped to the 3-point.
And that log seems to work pretty well, but again, if I hook onto a big 16-foot log, I can feel it.
Yep. Yeah, when the machine has more lift capacity than the weight of the rear end, you get that. But another thing that took me more getting used to than the tractor was this type of grapple. I've looked at these, but I've never ran one, and this one to me has a little bit of a unique geometry to it, that it feels like a clamshell, but then the bottom still comes out quite a bit. Now for me, it was a little bit awkward. I'm used to driving into it and then closing my jaw, and this, when I drove into it, the jaw wanted to grab the log behind it. So you saw me struggling a little bit with picking those up. It wasn't getting used to the tractor, it was getting used to the geometry of the grapple.
Yeah. It definitely takes a little bit of getting used to.
But this is a very heavy built grapple. You said this weighs like 600 or 800 pounds?
Yeah, I believe it's like closer to 800 pounds. So that was why it's important to get a tractor that could lift. But again, primarily I was using it to lift logs for my sawmill.
Yep. So 400 hours. What kind of breakdowns or problems have you had with the machine?
Haven't had any with the machines other than one hydraulic line was leaking at the fitting, and that happened within the first hour of operation. And my folks that I bought it from came right out and took care of that for me.
So I could tell you things I like about my tractor better than I like this one, but especially when you factor in the price difference and the extra size, I want something a little bigger. I think this is a heck of a bargain for what you get for what you pay for it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you taking time to show us.
Take care.